All right, YouTube, how we doing? Welcome back. Hope you're having a great ass day. So in today's YouTube video, we're gonna be doing something a little bit different. I actually did film a lot of content this week, not towards the end, but towards the beginning of the week, because I did want to make a little bit of a longer video and just kind of have like a nice compilation of my week. Tommy in the background. But I decided very last minute that I did not want to take that route with my YouTube video this week. This was just one of those weird moments where I just wanted to make a different type of video. I wanted to make more of like a, I guess you can call it a motivational video, and just talk about things that are going on in my head and just share ideas that I have and just put them out on the internet in hopes that, it benefits somebody, right? So I'm also gonna be filming this for my podcast, so you may hear me make an intro for my podcast here. So that's also, you get to see a behind the scenes of how my fucking cat, of how I make a podcast episode here. So the way I do it, okay, is I use my laptop, all right? So I go onto voice memos, right? And then I just start recording a voice memo, okay? I have a mic hooked up to it, this one right here. So whenever I finish it, right, I will go ahead and edit the name of the podcast to remind myself what I talked about on a given day, right? So that when I do upload that podcast, obviously, I know what to title it and what the content is about, all right? So in case anybody ever wanted to know how to make a podcast episode, it's a super simple two-step process. Number one, you need something to record it, right? So it can be your phone, it can be your laptop, right? That's it. Number two, you need Anchor, right? So anchor.com just lets you make a podcast and insert the file there, and it's a super simple thing. So anchor.fm if you want to make your own podcast. Very simple. I encourage you to do it if it's something you've always wanted to do. It was a dream of mine, and I just decided to do it, and we're on episode number 38 already, I believe, after this one. So this one is 38, which is crazy, and I had set out a goal of 52 episodes by the end of the year. So I think I'm pretty much on track and averaging about an episode a week, right? Some weeks there's been 0 episodes, some weeks there's been 3 episodes, and at the end of the year, it all averages out to about 1 episode a week, right? So you want to think of things like that. Wait, why are my AirPods connected? I really hope my AirPods aren't connected right now. What the hell? No. Okay, that was weird. At the end of the year, all that matters is what you did at the end of the year, right? Am I gonna sit there and be like, man, I wish I did 1 episode a week instead of, the way I did it? No, I'm just gonna be glad that I got it done, right? So, in today's episode, well, actually, let me go ahead and start it. So, check this out. All right, everybody, yo, how we doing? Welcome back to the Mind Over Matter podcast. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day. Today we have a very special podcast. So this podcast episode is actually going to double as a YouTube video. All right, so you're going to see my face in there in your podcast. You get to see what I look like. I'm not going to edit this one. I'm just going to take it straight through, just because I do want this to be a very genuine conversation between myself and the listener, in hopes that you can take something away from this conversation, okay? So one of the things that I was going to talk about this week is health, and what involves health, what's a part of your healthy lifestyle, what comes into that. And I decided last minute to talk about something else, right? Something that I believe is still very important to me, all right? And that's just, in a sense, getting through the rough patches of life, right? This week has been one of the roughest weeks I've had in a while in my life. And it could have been just as easy for me to not film this episode or this YouTube video because I was having a rough week, right? I did have very few moments throughout the week where I was very overwhelmed. I was very stressed. Things felt lackluster. I felt lost. And I'm sharing this not for your pity or hopes that you feel sorry for me or anything along those lines, but just because I'm sure that you have experienced this at some point in your life, being overwhelmed, being stressed. Some people are very good at fucking hiding it. I'll tell you that much, right? Some people look like they don't have a problem going on in their, and you know what? If that's the case, more power to them. That's absolutely amazing, right? That's what we can all strive and hope to achieve, right? But 9 times out of 10, everyone at some point does deal with a level of overwhelm, stress, anxiety, just being anxious, that sort of stuff, right? And it was very easy for this week to be one of those weeks for me, right? And for the most part, it was. But there's one thing that I just kind of kept in the back of my mind, and I know I've said this, I can't even elaborate just how much I've said this on this podcast, but I should basically change it to the name of my podcast title, just Do Not Quit, right? And I maybe will, shit. The whole key to success in anything you do is just not quitting, just getting through the rough, shitty moments in life, right? Like Monday, I crashed into somebody's car. Later that day, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go on a run. I'm just gonna, cool it off. Been having a rough day. This run should make me feel better. On that run, I dropped my phone and I cracked my camera screen. So the back camera of my phone is like cracked, and every time I try to film something with it, there's like a very big glare because the glass is broken. So again, another thing, and it just felt like one of those weeks where it was like one thing after another. And when I thought the storm was over, something else would happen. Now the specifics of that don't matter, right? It really doesn't. But I do want you to know that at some point, we all go through it. Okay, you're not alone in it. And the secret to get through it is to just survive. Just make it through, just last, don't quit. All right, because for every week like this, every 1 week like this, you get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? That are amazing. Like the last, let's say before the last 2 weeks of my life, the 16 to 18 weeks before that, I was some of the happiest, most successful, productive, happy, stress-free, weeks of my life, right? And it's really hard to almost in a sense be glad and grateful for those without going through moments like this, right? And I was actually on the way home listening to an audiobook with my girlfriend. So it's her audiobook, she was playing it, and she suggested I listen. It's called the High Five Habit, the Habit of High Five. I don't want to butcher it. Mel Robbins is the author. Please don't sue me for butchering the name wrong. I promise I'm going to read your book. I was just on the way home when I heard it. But one of the things that she talked about, and she almost like in a sense gives herself like a little bit of a mindset boost with one thing that she tells herself, right? And the best way to do it is when you need somebody's help, right? You usually are looking for somebody, when you're telling a friend a problem, sometimes you want to hear, it's all going to be okay, don't worry about it, you'll figure it out, right? Like, listen, you got to go through rough times, that sort of thing. We all need that at some point. And one of the best things that she suggested to do, and I've actually done this before, I heard her philosophy, but she put it into much better words than I did, is to like give yourself a high five, which is like, and think about, this is preparing you for something great and amazing in your life that you can't see yet, right? And the reason you feel overwhelmed is, well, of course, you're going through a lot of struggles and a lot of stressful moments in your life. But if you knew that something great was on the other side of it, you'd be more willing and happy to endure these struggles than if you didn't know something was wrong. Now, for everybody listening to the YouTube video, I do apologize for my cat giving me a bit of a hard time here on the video, but it's all right. But yeah, essentially giving yourself like a little bit of a high five, a mindset boost, just reminding yourself. In my case, Anthony, you're gonna be okay. This is preparing you for something great in your life you can't see yet, right? And I wanted to make this video as another way of doing that, right? Because if I truly believe in it, if I truly believe in that fact that something better is on the other side of the adversity I'm facing, right? And I'm more confident in it by sharing that message, then I'm more willing to attract and believe that that's going to happen, right? And if it doesn't, if it's just another week of adversity, guess what? I'm just going to continue with the same mindset because life goes on. I'm going to keep living. Problems are either going to happen or not going to happen. But I know one thing, it's just not going to matter at the end of the day. The same thing I talked about at the beginning of this episode, whether I publish, one podcast episode a week, right? Or 3 a week and then 0 the next week, 1 the next week, 4 after that, right? At the end of the day, all that matters is how much did I publish at the end of the year, which my goal was 52 episodes, right? So the way I got there doesn't matter. And sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to go, right? Like at the initial plan that I set for myself for this podcast was 1 episode a week. Has it looked like that? Absolutely not. Like I said, I've had some 3 episode, 4 episode weeks, 0 episode weeks, but it's all averaged out to 1 episode a week, right? I'm at 38 with this episode, which puts me right on track to hit 52 by the end of the year, which is absolutely nuts to think about. Absolutely nuts, right? Because you have no clue, right, what some things are going through, what are happening, what's happening in the back of, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, in the world. And you won't find out if you just quit, right? If you just quit on your goals, if you're just quitting when shit gets hard, then you're not going to make it far in your life. And I'm not trying to be an asshole here, and I really hope you don't take it this way, but that's why a lot of people fuck up in their goals, because they're just not willing to endure the suck. And trust me, guys, it doesn't get easier. It's not fucking easy. I don't want to give you that misconception, because there has been a lot of doubt in my mind this last week. Can I really accomplish XYZ? Is this all even worth it, right? Because of the struggles and adversity I'm facing. But all the thing that matters is, am I going to see it out? Am I going to push through and be able to see the end result after, or am I just going to give up? Because it's the easier option, right? Like, yeah, you get to quit, okay? It makes it easier on you temporarily, but you know what's hard? Looking back and asking, damn, where would I be if I didn't, right? So just a reminder, like, you're going to be fine, right? Sometimes you just got to go through the shitstorm to see the rainbow. You know that cliche saying everybody says? Well, it's there for a reason, right? You got to go through the rough patches of life to be able to enjoy the highs, to be able to see what's in store for you on the other side, what good there is in the world if you just continue to show up, right? It doesn't get any easier. I want to make that very clear, because it really doesn't. And I have to move my cat here because he may step on my laptop. So it doesn't get any easier. And again, like I said, the most important thing is just you show up, right? Get there, make it through another day, make it about surviving today, every single day, just one more day. If you can survive today, every single day, you're going to make a fuck ton of progress than you would have if you just quit, right? Don't think about what you have to do tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, because you can easily get overwhelmed. And that doesn't mean, don't be prepared. If you know you have something due tomorrow, if you know you have a responsibility, set something in plan to be able to tackle it in a very responsible way. But what it means is, don't sit there and drown yourself and spiral in thoughts about how you're going to get XYZ done when that thing isn't even here yet, okay? Like Hagrid's agreeing with me. You hear him over there. He's passionate about what I'm saying because he knows I'm right? And really, like, to end this episode off, guys, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to go in the way you wanted it to, right? Things don't always go to plan, right? But at the end of the day, as long as you make it to your goal, as long as you just show up, you're going to be fine, right? Like, again, it's been a rough week for myself. It's been a rough week for a lot of other people that I've spoken to this week. It could have been a rough week for you, right? But guess what? We're all in the same boat. We're all in this same game of life, trying to figure things out. And sometimes you just need to go through the shittier patches of life to get to the good. Okay, remember, like Mel Robbins said, high five yourself. Tell yourself what you would need to hear from a friend, right? In my circumstance, right? If you want to copy what I say and it helps you, go for it. What I say is, everything's going to be all right, Anthony. This is preparing you for something great that you can't see yet. And funnily enough, every single thing that's bad that's happened to me in my life has come out on the other side to be some of the most amazing things, right? Quitting my job could be seen as bad, and it was a struggle for a very long time, but on the other side of that was I get to run a successful business to where I can afford, working full time on my business and working on something I'm passionate on. That's not something a lot of people can say, and that's not something I take for granted. What was on the other side of losing 50 pounds in 3 months, which was extremely difficult, and I did it in a very unhealthy way. What came out of that? Well, I learned what not to do so that I can be able to teach my clients how to lose weight in a sustainable way, right? How to not make the same mistakes that I did, all right? So just remember, if you're going through a rougher patch in life, sometimes it's just preparing you for something great that you can't see yet, all right? So I hope you enjoyed this little talk. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Look at my little dude Haggard here coming to say hi. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please go ahead and give the video a like, maybe share with somebody that you think would benefit. Aside from that, I'll see you next Saturday for another YouTube video.